Hello, gorgeous humans. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the morning show. I am your host, Marli Ansel at Marli Ansel on the Instagrams. And this is the morning show where you come to get your daily dose of inspiration and level up into your highest being. It is all about real life, but we make it magical. And there's so much to talk about. So let's dive in. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Whew, how did we get to Thursday already? Like, time is blowing my mind. Did you guys know that it is almost May? Did you guys know that? What? What? Honestly, I'm just praising Jesus for the warm weather. I cannot with the cold anymore. I'm absolutely done. I unsubscribe out of it. Get me out. I'm done. So today we're talking about something probably very appropriate for us all right now, the pressure that you feel when you up level. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why you feel it, why it is so necessary, and you will never question it again. But before we do, let's talk about these cosmos. So as we know, Uranus, Jupiter conjunction. This is happening. We have arrived. It is here. The exact conjunction to the minute happens on Saturday, day after tomorrow, Saturday. But it is already conjunct at the degree point. Now, a reminder, this is fortuitous change. Okay? This is good. This is a good thing. We want this. But you guys know, as humans, we don't always do real good with change, period, even if it is a good thing. So you want to be mindful. You want to understand that anything that happens, especially right now, I mean, truly anything that happens ever, but anything that happens, especially right now, has a bigger cause. It has a bigger plan. So nothing is just this little micro pinpoint in space and time. Whatever is happening, whatever does happen, especially over these next few days, is meant to happen. Now, I don't say all these things to like scare you. It should be fine. It should be fine. We should enjoy this. This is something that's actually a really beautiful thing. But I will say this, the last time that this happened, this Uranus Jupiter conjunction, was at the time of the American Revolution. Like change towards freedom. Isn't that wild? The cosmos never cease to amaze me. Jupiter is good change, or it's good. Uranus is change towards freedom and sudden change. So, globally, what does that mean? I have no idea. I'm not going to go there. But for you personally, what you need to really be looking at is what changes are happening or being asked of you to happen that's going to move you towards freedom. It's going to move you towards freedom. You want to check the house that this conjunction is happening in, and you also want to look at any of the aspects. So, in example, this conjunction is happening in my seventh house, and it is trining my Mercury. So, what that essentially means is it is changing the way I think towards more freedom. It's a good change. So, changes among us. Mars is also about to enter Aries, no time real soon, but like in the next month. Now, the reason that that is significant is that Mars is currently in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's all about wrapping up loose ends, like cycle completion. And Mars is an activation energy. Now, once it gets to Aries, Aries is its home. So Mars is all about like taking action. It's almost like volcanic power. It's kind of like whenever you have a Mars conjunction, that is when you feel that incredible impatience. You guys know that feeling? You know the feeling where you just like want to murder everyone around you? That's typically a Mars conjunction. It's like it's triggering, it's a lot inside of you, and zero patience. Zero patience. God bless the children. Like zero patience, right? So Mars conjunctions are very volatile and they are powerful, but they're meant to move you. They're meant to move you. So as Mars gets closer to Aries, we are initiating a new cycle. again, no shortage of new beginnings in the cosmos, right? It's like the universe knew these humans, they're probably going to mess it up. Like, let's give them a lot of opportunity to start over, right? So Mars is moving into Aries. We're going to all feel an invigoration of energy. This is the time to start removing. This is Mars has probably been doing this to you already. Remove the stuff that's not working. End it. End that cycle. The stuff that doesn't work for you anymore, close it out. Don't do it. Why are we doing stuff that doesn't work for us? Let's not do it. Close it out. And then when Mars moves into Aries, it's going to be about initiation. It's going to be about that new beginning, that new cycle. Saturn is also doing the same thing, but it's going to take a little bit longer. So we'll discuss that later. All right. So, how are you guys feeling on this Thursday? I'm feeling pretty good. I do feel the pressure. Who's feeling pressure? Give me some emojis in the comments. Who's feeling pressure right now? Now, I'm going to share with you a really incredible story that I heard that put this into such perspective for me and just made me feel like, oh, perfect. I'm right on time. Everything's working out in my favor. When it comes to feeling pressure as you're up leveling into a new level. So if you've been in my world for a while, you know we talk about up leveling and we see Chris says, "Yeah, I feel so much pressure." It's happening right now, right? So when you go through an up level, an up level is essentially like I'm leaving behind an old level of life. Now that could be really massive or it could be small. It varies. But it's essentially saying like I'm not going to live this level anymore. I'm going to level up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to level up in who I'm being. I'm going to level up in what I'm thinking. I'm going to level up in what I do, whatever it is. When we go through these up levels, the way that I've always described it to my people is it's like if you're in a building and you're on one floor, it's like pushing your head through the floor of the building. It's like ugh, so much pressure. It's mucky, it's chaotic. You're in between floors. You're like, I don't even know what's happening. Why are things pushing in on me? Like, oh, right? But it is to our benefit. And I'm going to give you this little story that changed the game for me, and it will 100% put things into perspective for you so that we can understand why this happens. So, we all know the metaphor of the caterpillar going into the cocoon, coming out a butterfly, right? We know that. We're like, oh, death and rebirth, turn to goop, come out with wings, amazing, right? But there's actually a little bit more to the process. So we know the caterpillar builds its own cocoon, builds its own void, its own dark night of the soul for its evolution. Okay. But when it is ready to come out as a butterfly, when it is like the cocoon is breaking open, it breaks open and it has that little bit of light that comes in. We know this, right? We know that moment where, like, wait a minute, I think I just got a glimpse. I think I'm leaving the void. I'm leaving this wretched cycle I've been in. I can see the light, right? But it's a teeny tiny little hole. So the story that I heard was that this guy saw a cocoon in his on his land in his tree. And he saw that the now formed butterfly was trying and struggling to get out of the cocoon. And it was having a really hard time getting out of it. It was like he didn't know if it was going to make it, you know? He was like, "Oh my god." So he decided, "Let me help it out." And so he goes and gets whatever tool he had that didn't, that could do this, and he cuts the hole in the cocoon to be bigger so that the butterfly can come out. Well, the butterfly comes out with ease because he cut the cocoon open. But then he noticed that the butterfly didn't really look like a butterfly. It had this really fat, chunky body. It didn't have the elongated, like we see that fly around. And he thought that that was so strange. And then within the next couple of days, the butterfly ended up dying because it was so heavy that it couldn't fly to do its thing as a butterfly. And so it ended up perishing. Now, What he came to find out was that that little tiny hole that's in the cocoon is actually that small for a purpose. As the butterfly struggles, it's feeling pressure. It's struggling to get through this tiny hole to go to becoming a full butterfly. That pressure squeezes the butterfly's body and it distributes all of the fluid throughout its whole being, hence creating the long body that we are used to seeing as butterflies. Because he had cut it open, the butterfly didn't go through the pressure, didn't go through the challenge. And so all of the fluid stayed in its one bulky place, making the butterfly have a really fat body that could not take off with the wings. The fluid, as it's getting pressurized when the butterfly is pushing out, goes all throughout the wings to give it its life force, its ability to fly. The pressure is the very reason that the butterfly has the ability to fly. This story, I'm not crying, I just joked. This story changed everything of how I view when we're going through pressure, when we're going through challenge. So often we think something's gone wrong. Amen. So often we think, ugh, I messed up. It's hard right now. I'm feeling pressure right now. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. It's really difficult. Something has gone wrong. That's typically how we think, right? The pressure is the very reason you will be able to fly in your next level. You have to have it. If you don't have it, you don't get to your next level. You stop. You stop halfway in the transition and then you perish. I mean, you're not going to really die, but you see what I'm saying? The pressure is actually a really good thing. It's part of the process. You are meant to go through it. So, when we're going through pressure and we feel like everything is on top of us, we've got to remember that this is part of the process. And yeah, it may not feel good. Like, I'm sure the butterfly is like, God blessed. Like, could this be easier? Because that would be great. you know, I'm sure it's all about, we have a conscious mind that wants things to be easy. But the truth of the matter is that we go through pressurized situations so that we can evolve into that next level of who we're meant to be. Without it, we're just kind of like ease comfort zoning our way around. And there's no growth in the comfort zone. We know that. We don't like to think about it, but we know that. You're not creating anything new, staying exactly the same in your comfortable little haven, right? We're not moving into a new level when we do that. So when we're going through that pressurized feeling, what we've got to remember is that this is forging you. This is forming you into who you are meant to be. And so when we can embrace that process, what you'll find is that the whole time when you're going through what feels pressurized and overwhelmed and all of that, once you accept it as like, this is a really good thing, all that suffering that goes along with it just kind of goes, it just dissipates out. And what you'll realize in that is that the suffering that you were experiencing the whole time, you were making up in your mind. I know. But the whole time, what you were actually experiencing that you felt was sufferable was the story you were making up about the pressure you're feeling. The pressure is just part of the process. It's the story we make up in our minds that causes us to suffer. What if it had no meaning? What if it was just part of the process? It didn't mean that you messed up. It didn't mean that you did something wrong. All of that is story we're making up. Now, we're not going to go fully there, but I will say you making up that story is part of the process because you got to see where you are holding yourself back, where you are making yourself wrong. That's probably part of your up level. You got to see this. You got to see that you are making up a story that you're not good enough. And that's why you have challenge. That you're making up a story that you messed it up somewhere. And that's why you have challenge. You got to see that you're the one doing that. You're the one. We're just making it up left and right. Right? This is that understanding and having that level of self-awareness around your own mind. I can't tell you how many times this has come up lately. Like lately, you're talking directly to me, yes. Lately, I have been realizing how much our mind just makes story and it is based on loose fact. Like barely there fact. There's so much inferring, like filling in the gaps that our mind does to create a story about something that literally might not be true at all, like at all. And when you start paying attention to this, you're like, oh, okay. So, like last night, I was just feeling some type of way, pressure, right? Just feeling some type of way. And I found myself like being upset. I didn't know why I was upset. I just found myself being upset. And then the facts of life, like the things that had actually happened, I was taking this fact, like just paying attention to my own mind. I was taking this fact and then I was taking that fact and I was creating a whole story in between them. The story had no truth, okay? No facts. It might be my opinion, it might be something I'm inferring, but no truth to it at all. I just took this fact, this happened, A happened, and B happened, and I made a whole story. I put the whole alphabet in between them. You see what I'm saying? And so, in realizing that I was doing that, I was like, okay, hang on a minute. Maybe what I'm feeling right now is just part of the process of what I'm feeling right now. Maybe there's not actually a story or a reason that I can find in my life as the culprit for what I feel. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making it all up. You will be shocked at how often you catch yourself doing this. It's part of being human, and I will say that. We are story makers. That's what we do. And on the flip side of it, it's actually your superpower. But the problem is that most of us make up stories that are to our detriment. Right? Part of our healing process, we're learning unconditional love for ourselves first and foremost. But a lot of times we make up stories that are not what we want because we're like in that default survival mode of like, well, what if this happens, if that happens, and I've got a plan for that, and blah, 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 blah. And it's probably going to happen because I'm awful at the, meh, right? That's what we do though, instead of using story to create what we actually do want. You will live into whatever story you're making up. That's our superpower. That's how we create our reality. You will live into whatever story you're making up. But you want to look at what your natural story is that you're making up. Is the natural storyline that you're making up one that's against you? That's something to look at. You know what I mean? Like that's something to really start looking at. Or is the natural story that you're making up in your favor? Beautiful. Great job, right? You're going to live a much easier life. But we want to pay attention to this stuff. So if you're feeling pressure, it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Just release the story or change it. By all means, change the story. Change it to something that's in your favor. And if you want to come into understanding this and how the mind works, our subconscious mind is so incredible. It's like this supercomputer that's forming our reality all the time. And we don't even realize it until we start paying attention to it. So those stories that are getting formulated, those come from some baseline opinion, baseline belief system that you have about yourself and about life. Everything comes down to this: what I believe about myself and what I believe about life. Your whole world is formed on that. Just think about it for a second. Like, just think about it. Your whole life, your whole world, your whole experience is formed based on what you believe about yourself and what you believe about life. It's so big. Anywho, so if you're feeling pressure, it's part of the process. Notice if you're making up stories. If you're making up stories, stop it. And then start making up a story that works for you. Put it into something that's better, something that like expands you, that makes you win, that puts you on top. Make up the story that's going to work in your favor. You feel me? And if you want help with this and understanding how to do this mindset work, comment creator below and I'm going to send you 50% off of the Becoming a Conscious Creator program. This program tells you exactly how to rewire your mind. It tells you how to process and move energetic blocks and emotions that have been stuck mucking up your body, and it tells you exactly how to intentionally create and manifest your life. The detail that I go into in this program is absolutely insane. Like, I've been re-editing it over the last month or so, re-listening to it, and I'm having the biggest breakthroughs again at this level of life. And I created this program 5 years ago. Like, this program is insane with the depth and the potency that it has to teach you how to start taking back control over your life and start to create that level of life that you want to be experiencing, you want to be living in your power, in your magic, all the goods. So if you want to come into it, message me the word creator, and I will send you 50% off of this program and you get lifetime access to it. You will come back to it over and over and over again. All right, my loves, we're going to wrap. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow's Friday. We're going to do Q&A. Q&A. Tomorrow is Friday. If you have a question that you would like to send into the show, you can send me a direct message or you can email me at assistant@marliansel.com. Send your question. We'll read it anonymously and we'll go into a whole discussion on it. All right. I love you. Hit the likes and the subscribes. Please share the show. And I will see you here tomorrow for another episode of The Morning Show. Goodbye, my loves. Have a beautiful day.